All right, we are live. Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, Pianki Patai Muntu Nefera Moon Ra, and we are back with another powerful show. And we have the master of the dark side. But before we get into our brother and who he is and what he represents, let me do my usual spiel. Let me say Hotep to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Let me say God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Let me say Shalom to my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Let me say Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Let me say peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earths. And let me say Jambo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. As y'all know, I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you're black, I'm with you, and I hope you with me. Our different ideologies shouldn't keep us from uniting. We can have unity without uniformity, and we can disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. So with that said, my brother, please introduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience.
Yeah, peace. What's going on? Everyone know I'm Nimrod, aka Lex Vortex, the double master teacher of this day and time, the one the universe and the ancestors have sent to destroy the Abrahamic faith and rebuild the Tower of Babel. Here to remind you that you are none of the labels that have been put on you, but you are infinite awareness, having a human experience. Power to the dark side, death to the Abrahamic religions, one nation, one people. That's what it
Power
is.
to the dark side. So now I gotta ask you, how, because I can't remember. I've been, seeing you here and there for a while. Before I even thought about doing my own YouTube thing, I was a fan of brothers and sisters on YouTube. How long have you been? When did you come up with the dark side, number one? And how long have you been following that mantra? Because if I'm not mistaken, when I originally saw you, I thought you were a Christian, or was I mistaken?
Um, I I would say that people I called myself the Christian mystic.
Right.
Yeah. So and I'm still a Christian mystic. A lot of people get caught up in these titles and they say, "Oh, you was this and this and that." But a mystic is just one who studies the mystical of whatever it is. Like I'm a mystic when it comes to any what you call religion or doctrine of thought, whether it be I would consider myself a Muslim mystic in a sense, in the way I would view the Quran or the way I see the Bible or the Hindu text or the Kemetic text or whatever it is. But I would say, in terms of the dark side, that whole thing, it started probably like 5 years ago. It's not really new. We just wasn't on the internet pushing it like we do now. But me and some other cats like Inyami and Konsu and them, we was battling against Abraham's children a lot with doctrine. So it became a dark side thing, and it's a lot to that. We can get into that in terms of all it means to me and why we say it, because a lot of people are confused about it. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I was like, wait a minute, but like you said, just because these titles, everybody gets so caught up. Because I first thing somebody will say when I say, yeah, I'm gonna have such and such brother on or such and such sister on. What are they? And I'm like, what you mean? It's a brother or it's a sister. But what are they?
Right.
I'm like, damn. So speak on that for a minute. Like these titles and idioms we give ourselves to define ourselves that don't necessarily even correlate with who we are and what our identity really is in terms of our genesis.
Right. So yeah, it's the program. You know what I'm saying in terms of um people have been programmed to see things either A or B, or you have to belong to this or belong to that, or you have to be dedicated to this or dedicated to that. And we in society see that as stable, as so remember people saying, man, Bianchi don't never change.
Right.
Someday we
Right.
say that we're comfortable with that, and because it's comfortable for us to always be familiar with that person. So if I come around you 5 years from now and you on something else, I'm gonna act like there's something wrong because it's not comfortable with me,
There you
because
go.
I know you as this. So it's like you changed or whatever. But you know what I mean? In the universe and on the mystic path and on any path of enlightenment, change is the only constant we can depend on. And if something's not changing, it's not growing. I tell a lot of brothers, once you commit to a doctrine, the death process has began. Literally, you ever meet an old person like 80, 95 years old? Do you think that they're on their way out? And if you talk to them about anything, they already know what they know. Boy, I've been on this earth 90 years. You ain't gonna tell me how it works. I
Right.
don't care what information you bring them, you can't tell them. The death process has begun. And youth and growth is in remaining dynamic. You know what I'm saying? That's what we call the path of the serpent. We stay flexible. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, Lex is a flip flopper. He be doing." I went through every stage that I went through was research. So I lived as a Muslim. That's why I know what's up with Islam. I lived as a Christian. I went to the mosque 5 times a day. I prayed with them. I talked to the brothers. I enriched the culture. I lived as an Israelite. I was on the streets yapping my mouth ignorantly like I was knowing something. You know what I'm saying? I know what's going on with the Moors in that. I know what's going on with the Aboriginals. I know what's going on with the Comedics. All of this stuff is, information. But because we're so used to the culture in America, just like we got football teams and baseball, it's gang banging. People are not seeking truth. They flagging. And no matter what you tell them, or no matter what information comes to them, it doesn't matter. We're not truth seekers. We're not mystics. We're saying, I represent this flag, and that's what it is. That's what you get with the Hebrew Israelites, the Muslims, the Moors, the Comedics, because I can look at all these things and I can tell you the underlying fundamentals to them all. It's the same thread, and that's the point of it all. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the dark side becomes important.
Okay. And so now let's examine that thread, because all those groups you mentioned fundamentally disagree. But you said they all have an underlying connection. Go
Yeah,
go into that if you don't mind, because if they all disagree fundamentally on what the right path to follow is, how can they all be connected?
because they're all just ignorant of what their own teachings are. When I say that there's a fundamental thread between all so-called paths of enlightenment, you know what I'm saying? So they all, in some degree, are written in a way to teach certain principles, right? So whether you read the Quran, you read the Bible, you read the Vedas, or any text, you can find the underlying principles. That's what you're supposed to be seeking. So because of people's, I think what it is, I think is people are ignorant of the mystery schools and the priesthood. So when you go into any of these religions or any of these teachings, there was always what you call a priesthood. And the priesthood is filled with initiates, and they were called the inner court. And then you had the outer court. And within that priesthood, there were certain languages, symbolisms, and things that they were taught in order to understand what the average layman wouldn't understand. So the universal symbol, the universal language of the priesthood is symbols. So when you read the Bible, you're going to see mountains. Moses went to a mountain. You're going to see things like caves. Muhammad went in a cave. Moses went up on a mountain. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see the sun. You're going to see certain numbers like the number 7, the number 3, the number 12, the number 21. You see what I'm saying? You're going to see temples, and you're going to see building directions and mathematics of the temple and stuff like this. You're going, you know what I mean? So we can see those principles within all of those things. But the people, the outer court is given the childlike story. They're really on a child level because, and this is how far people have fell from knowledge. Even whether you go from Kemet to the Bible, the Quran, or whatever, the story was for children. Literally, was for children. The mythos is for children level because you can't just you got a 3-year-old child, 4-year-old child, 5-year-old, a young child. You just don't throw algebra or nuclear physics at them. Right. You might tell them a story about Adam and Eve being took it from his rib or something to get their mind in a place where then later on they can understand what you're talking about when you split in the atom. You see what I'm saying? But right from the beginning, you get stories, yo, and the stories are to awaken something dormant in the subconscious mind. Because in the ancient priesthoods, it is said that there's a certain knowledge that can't really be taught, right? Truth can only be experienced. So the way they taught, especially in the what we call the Near East and Egypt and all of this stuff, is they would tell stories to almost deceive you. They told the story in a way where it was like it leads you down the wrong path in order for you to find the right path. Because I can tell you about God, right? Let's just take God. I can say, oh, there's a God, and there's just powers, and you can do all these mystical things or whatever. But until you experience it, you don't know it. I can't give you that. I can't show you what it feels like. Even if we talk about it like a Christian can't tell you how to get the Holy Spirit, right? Even I'm just using this as an example.
Right.
They can, until you get it, you don't know what the hell a Christian's talking about. They just look crazy. They're jumping around. So, there's a thing where this Gnostic type knowledge or this intuitive knowledge cannot be taught or told, or you can only be led there. But until you reach the level where you walk that path, then it's experience. This is the difference between the priest and the outer court. The priest had to go through all these crazy, and I always use my favorite movie is The Last Dragon. That was a perfect movie. If you remember The Last Dragon, yeah. Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, show enough
for them. Now, his teacher sent him on a mission to find the master. And he gave him a locket and said, when you find the master, give this to him and he'll know what it is, right? So this dude goes on this whole big mission looking for the master. And he runs into a goddamn fortune cookie machine. Was the master. So then he goes back to his teacher crying and bawling, like, what have you done to me? You tell me about the master, and the master is just a machine. Why would you do this to me? He had to do that to him. Remember I said they told stories in order to deceive you?
Right.
Because he could have just told him, you're the master. The master's inside of you. But he wasn't ready to hear that. So he had to go through this whole thing, this whole living out this drama, being deceived, getting his ass beat, and nearly dying. He didn't realize that he was the master. Remember, there was a scene that I always play on my channel when he's talking to what was her name? Vanity at the time. Remember, in the movie, she hired him as a bodyguard.
Right.
And she said, this is exciting. I always wanted a kung fu master as my bodyguard. Right. And he says, oh, I'm no master. And she says, you should look like a master to me.
Right.
Right. So all of these things are going on. Right. And then when finally in the last scene was Show Enough already believes. You know what I'm saying? He got the red glow though. The red glow represents, you know, the lower passions though. But he's using the force in another way. But anyway, he's kicking Bruce Leroy's ass, and finally he's dunking his head in the water. At the end of the movie, drowning me, and every time he dunks his head, and he keeps saying, when he let him up, I'm gonna ask you, who is the master? Then he don't say he dunked his head back in there. So when he's dunking his head in the water, which that water, now he's starting to see the memory. So, you know, water, again, symbols. Water always represents consciousness. It always represents the realm of, you know, spirituality or emotions or consciousness or higher levels of consciousness and dimension. So the last time he dunks his head in the water, he starts seeing and remembering all these things that were told to him while he was on this path looking for the master. So he remembers when the girl said, you should look like a master to me. Then he sees his teacher saying, there's one place you haven't looked, Leroy, and only then will you find the master. Because remember at the beginning of the movie, in The Last Dragon, the master shooting arrows at him, right? And he's, you know, while he's doing his routine or whatever, he's blocking the arrows. But one of the arrows is a specific arrow, and he shoots it, and Leroy turns around and catches it. Now, the master, his teacher says, how did you know that was the one with the, I don't know, the blue ribbon on it or whatever? And he says, I don't know. At that point, his teacher is like, there's nothing more I can do for you. He didn't want to tell him because he knew he didn't understand, but he basically is like, yo, we done here. How did he know? You see what I'm saying? So that's what higher knowledge is like. How do you know? You can't explain how I knew that arrow was the one with the blue
real
ribbon.
Quick, and I'm listening because I remember this movie. You done took me back to when I was a kid, right? But many years later, you know, where that same, it's almost like the hero's journey narrative. Because that same story you described, you know what movie it played out in? The Matrix.
Exactly.
The Oracle she told Neo he wouldn't have won.
Exactly.
Only for him to discover it himself. I'm thinking like, where have I heard this? So yeah, but go ahead. I ain't mean to interrupt, but it clicked like, didn't that same thing happen probably didn't happen in a bunch of stories we've read, but
it's a common theme.
Yeah.
It's a common theme
it's a trope.
That's what I mean by the way the ancient priesthoods taught. You know what I'm saying? They put you through rigorous things to try to bring you, and sometimes you notice a person doesn't really come into their own until they've been through that pain. Some people call it the what do they call it? Night of the Dark Soul or whatever. It's like it's a common thing in the way they set up movies, but everyone, you know, like 50 Cent got shot up 7 times and shit, and then goes into his greatness. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's like these deciding moments of pressure and events that you have to go to, and that is really the initiation. A lot of people don't know, right, that they don't believe in the spirit world, so they think like when people say, oh, I'm a part of this, like people talk about Freemasons or I'm a part of this order or whatever. But a person who's been chosen for the priesthood goes through the initiation in their life. It's like a play. There's certain things that's going to happen to you that is going to shift your consciousness. And usually it happens as a child. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna experience loss of loved ones. Usually, parents die early. Serious sickness, injury, traumatic stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's an initiation process. And so for me, that's been part of my journey. When I went through all these religions, and I went through the lodge, I went through all of them. And it's all part of my initiation to bring me where I am today. That's why when I have these conversations, sometimes, I try to remain humble, but it's like, dude, you talking to me about the Quran, the Bible, I did that 7 years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see where you at. I know where you're at, and hopefully that you'll advance beyond that. And even as Black people as a whole, our experience has been an initiation. People don't know that. Like, we have wasted our pain. Like, when you look at um no pain, no gain. You know what they say? The greater the pain, the greater the power. Like, when you go through great pain, that's supposed to give you a power. Like, that's why when you look at the Harlem,
Are you describing Darth Vader, man?
no doubt.
I'm a geek, so don't think that's over my head, because I'm a geek. So go ahead. I'm with you.
You see the same story with Anakin when he became Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? It's all surrounded. When he was young, they went and found him. He lost his mother when he was young. They killed his mother. You know what I'm saying? Then he's adopted by the Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Jedi. They raise him. Then he falls in love with the girl, but she's gonna die. He's having dreams, and he's dealing with his fears and all of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same story. Anakin was supposed to bring balance to the Force, but he turned
did.
to the.
He
But
did.
yeah,
Just
he
not the way
did.
they thought he was.
Exactly. Exactly. But you know what they do? People don't understand the level that these people play on philosophically. They
Right.
mixed it where a lot of what was dark side was the good shit.
Right.
Even though they portrayed the Jedi as like the good guys and all this, but there's a lot of dynamics to that shit, and why we started playing on that.
Exactly.
In terms of the dark side. The dark side is what everybody fears, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's really representative of the bigger part of your subconscious mind. And for Black people, I know it fucks with them. And it's so revealing. But I can't, the self-hate is so deep that they don't understand psychology, because we've always been associated with darkness. Black, darkness, evil, black cats. We all know the scheme. Whatever,
Right.
Black people, when you look in the mirror, you're dark. Darkness is evil. And so, even though, that shit sounds cliche, Malcolm X talked about the shit like
Yeah.
black cats and
That's
that
what you
shit,
made me think of.
the shit is still powerful, running rampant. It's subconscious. I always try to tell people to understand the subconscious. So when we say dark side, I know I'm exciting something in a lot of these people. That's why with their religions, because their religions, the Abrahamic faces, because they think they try to make Jesus black and all and say they're black, but they still got them white angels in their head. They still got white Jesus in their head. They still got these Christians as white and pure, and the evil African voodoo witch doctors represent darkness. So we know what we're doing. We say power to the dark side. We're making you look in the mirror, because all of that is you.
Mm.
All of that is you. We are the people of darkness. We are the princes of darkness. We represent all of that. And we represent that side of life. But we rejected that because some people took it and so-called demonized it. But the dark arts, the occult, and all of that, that's Black shit. It was usurped by Europeans, like people to Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky. And when you look at what they talking about, that shit goes back to voodoo. They mixed all that Satan shit in there and all that, so people, and then the Christians told you to stay away from the occult. and all that. Let me show you something, bro. Hold on. Speaking of that, watch this. Let me pull up this Bible shit. I'm gonna show you how crazy these people are.
Yeah, because and elaborate a little more when you say we wasted our pain. Because I kind of interrupted you, but I want you to continue to build on that too. Because that's kind of heavy when you say we wasted our pain, because it's something to be said about that saying, no pain, no gain. But I want to see where you're going with it.
What I mean by we wasted our pain is, and I think it was because of religion that we wasn't able really to capitalize on our pain like we should. All that we went through, there should be no people on the earth that can match us in anything, in unity, especially in unity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially in coming together, in achievement. Like you see the Jews, they go through a little fucking Holocaust. They said never again.
Facts. Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah.
And their attitude from then on is us against the world. Period. I don't care what they tell you. It's us against the world. And that's the whole biblical thing.
Yeah, that's real.
It's the God's chosen us against the nations. We're separate. That's how you know that's not our people. But what we went through, we should be, and we got it. But you know, I think it was religion that got us divided. But you know, you can't. Hey, it's just like, you think you're gonna win a fight with a brother who been in Vietnam, got shot as a kid, lost everything, lost his wife in an airplane crash. You know what I'm saying? You know, like he went through. You don't want to come in contact with that because he can feed off of that power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Off of those passions. So
like, what was that? That first Rambo movie when Colonel Troutman say he was trained to eat things that'll make a billy goat puke. Yeah, that's that you can't fuck with somebody that got that mentality.
Right. So, Rambo, like you know what I've been through? You know what I'm saying? I had to fight 50 dudes. You just one guy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what I mean by we wasted our pain, man. It's like, and the reason why it's wasted is on religion, bro. Like, people always say, why do you harp on these religions? Why? It's because it is the thing. African people will never be free until they burn the Bible, Quran. I mean, they have a holiday where we Africans across the world get together and burn the Bible. It would release a spell. It would be like, I think we would like wake up out of a trance, because it is a Kabbalistic spell, bro. I mean, think about how deeply entrenched our people are in this thing. When you look at from here to Africa, man, it's they because divinity is put out there in something else and not in our own selves. So when you look at the African leaders, they're Muslims, Christians. A lot of them are Muslims. So they sell their people out, because a lot of their people ain't Muslims. So they the Kafirs anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's not nation first. It ain't their people first. And then they work. So, and then the Christians, they worried about Jesus. They don't care. Oh, it's not about color or whatever. So they're living way out of reality. You see what I'm saying? And then the deity is just ridiculous. But we're so crazy, brother. If I was to do the same things that God did, they would lock me up.
I look at it like this though, bro. Because if I said any other deity, if I said Ra, if I said Odin, if I said Zeus, if I said Krishna, if I said that God, those gods did what the God of the Bible did, Christians would jump all over. How could you follow that? Who would worship that? You see what I mean? Like, it would be pandemonium for anybody trying to follow that deity. but because it's the biblical God, it's okay. And nobody sees the any hypocrisy in this attitude that what you believe is the end all be all, but what anybody else believes is foolishness. But based on what? That's the part that get me. Based on what? Because everybody tells me they have indisputable proof that these events occurred. Like I was talking to a brother and I asked, so this was supposed to be the most documented time, one of the most documented times in ancient history, and people came up out of their graves and went into the city. The temple veil was ripped in half. It was an earthquake, the likes of which the world had never seen. And it was dark for I forget how many hours. And nobody wrote about it. So,
Yeah, man.
like, what are we? But it was a supernatural event. That's the explanation? Because it was a supernatural event, didn't nobody write about it?
Yeah, that's because it's a myth, bro.
But I'm a nut for not believing it.
Yeah. Yo, the programming. Yo, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Sometimes I even meditate on this if it's just been our time. You know what I mean? That the program is so strong. I mean, there's no vaccine for this virus right now. You know what I mean? And the trauma that our people have went through and the self-hate and the mind has, and Dr. Ray Hagen's talked about this before. About even Willie Lynch said this. They know that the mind has this innate thing to try to correct shit. So when you look at the loss of identity of African people, you know what I'm saying? The self-hatred that was put upon us, the breaking down of the family structure, the being reduced to animals, the religion becomes attached to that, and it's almost epigenetic. You know what I'm saying? So when a lot of brothers don't wonder, well, a lot of brothers think, oh man, when I read the Bible, man, it just something hits, bro. It's because it's in your genes. The program is in your consciousness. There's genetic memory. Grandma was reading this shit, bro. Mommy was reading this shit. The slaves were. This is the shit that they had nothing else. They was praying to white Jesus, bro. We had to adapt and accept our condition. And what would people say? The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit is in your genes. Well, we still got to be grateful. We may be slaves and have no control of our lives, but at least thank the Lord that we had a good dinner today. So this is people adapting and adjusting to inhumane situation.
Yeah.
And so now we're at a point where it's like, the way I see it is, if you really want to be free, and it's important when we say free, the reason why we don't do exactly what we need to do to get free is the crazy thing about, because we don't even know what that is. We have never known it. So we don't know how valuable it is. There's some people, right? Like you got rich people. If they lose their money, they jump out the window. Right? Why? Some people may say, oh, they're weak, because they know what it is. They know if you can't live like this, you might as well be dead. So they just trade it off. They see, that's the extreme they're willing to. Black people don't never know what freedom was. think it's normal to live in a society where you got to worry about the police. That's just everyday life. You get pulled over, you know, you get discriminated against. You're a second class citizen. You know what I'm saying? Other men fucking you women. You know, you're struggling financially. You have nothing to call your own. We just, since we're not in chains and we're just not being brutally battered anymore, that's not acceptable for some people. The Palestinians don't accept that. The Palestinians could lay down,
Yeah,
and
they
have
really acquiesce.
They can have a good life and say, okay, this is yours. Just leave us alone. Let us work and eat. And but they know what it is to be free. So they're not willing to, we rather be dead. Black people for 500 years have no idea what freedom is. They can't even taste it. Just like just like a person who was wealthy all their life and really, or a person who's was really in poverty and say they became extra wealthy. Some people, if they lose their money, they say, no, I'd rather be dead, because they know and understand what it is. So when you look at the condition we in with the religions, if we really want to be free, nigga, we would have threw that shit out a long time ago. We don't want nothing you gave us. So think about that.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know if you hip to this, but urban apologetics has been at the forefront for a few years now. And you know, you have individuals like Dr. Eric Mason, Pastor Damian Richardson, Dr. Vince Bantu,
traders,
and individuals like that who have said, you know, on one end, you know, you have a spectrum to where, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me, I think Dr. Eric Mason was saying that most of the people in the Bible that's being talked about are black. And again, no. if I'm incorrect on that, somebody can correct me later. But then on a smaller scale, I've heard Pastor Damian Richardson say that Christianity was in Africa for so long that it can be considered an African spiritual tradition, and that it was actually in West Africa where our ancestors came from. So the notion is you can't say we got it from the slave master because it was already in West Africa. What do you say to that particular notion?
Garbage. Traitors. If it was up to me, if I come into power, we was in a country and I was president, I would hang all the pastors.
Oh man.
Listen, Pastor Vintu, Eric Mason, Creflo Dollar, the Hebrew Israelites, the whatever you are, nigga, y'all got 24 hours. I'd be like Idi Amin to get up out of here with that bullshit. Period, bro. They make that rationalizing and making excuses. Oh, it was in Africa for so long. How did it get in there? It's not African. Period. It is not indigenous. That's it. How did it get in? It came through them sellout Ethiopians, the mixed breed Ethiopians. They got it from a dude from Turkey named Fresenius. He converted them to Christianity. And what did the Ethiopians do when they converted to Christianity? They betrayed the Nubians. The ones in the Sudan where they was going to war. I forget who they was with. Them Ethiopians are not even the original Ethiopians there. Them Habesha Ethiopians, those two, if you do the history, them Arabs came down from the mountains and invaded the area and mixed with them. That's why you got them Ethiopians that they basically look like Arabs. They got the straight hair or whatever. Those are the people who converted to Christianity. That shit came from Turkey. If you look up where the Ethiopian Bible came from, I can pull it up. It comes from a dude named Fresenius. He came from Turkey. And he comes into Ethiopia and he's evangelizing. They were Catholic. And then it starts to spread through Africa. Don't give me that bullshit. You know how we know it's not African, bro? Because we know what the African tenets of religion are. And Christianity, Judaism, and Islam is totally anti-African. In the Bible is what they would call heathens. So how is it African? In the Bible, can you conjure up your ancestors?
Well,
What did
I say this because I'm not saying that they conjured up their ancestors, but they when they talk about Christ, they don't talk about him without speaking of his lineage, right? Is that conjuring up his ancestors? Is that honoring his ancestors?
No.
You know what I mean? So, but go ahead. I just threw that out there.
Yeah, I heard people say that in a sense. They can say it's kind of like, yeah. So yeah, there's some hypocrisy in there, but but like Jesus is like God, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in the Bible, it says a person you gotta put a witch to death. A person who consults the spirits, you put them to death. What indigenous culture don't consult the spirits?
That's true. That's true.
When you look at African traditional religion, you're gonna find certain pillars, and that's gonna be ancestral worship. There's no way to get around it. So I don't care. I can't wait to get a hold. I wish I can get a hold of that Dr. Vince Bantu or whatever his name is, that Mamzer dude. Because when I seen him have that debate with Jabari, and it pissed me off so much because
why is that so polarizing to people, man? Because he beat the brakes off of them, or
yeah, he did beat the brakes off Jabari because
but
Jabari.
it was a bad debate for Jabari to take, though, in my opinion, because when you say Christianity is the white man's religion, where did it originate from? Did it originate in Europe? Because if it didn't originate in Europe, how is it the white man's religion? Like
That's wrong
for me.
Yeah, that's the wrong. It eventually becomes the white
You
man's.
say it was co-opted by the white man and used for world conquest, because that's a fact. But to just say it's the white man's religion, you killed yourself.
But here's the part where Bantu played the game. It was never the black man's religion, though.
Now there you go. That really should have been the debate.
Exactly. Because Bantu played this game where these people are not white. They Arabs. They're Eurasians, bro. Don't play games with me. See, this whole black thing, see, they convolute that. These are people of color. Nah, bro.
Right.
The Arabs are people of color, bro. And they don't like African. The East Indians are people of color, bro. The Persians are everybody's people of color. But they have a different culture and a different relationship with Africans. And we know that. So I will kill Dr. Bantu. Because I'm going to tell you, it don't take a lot. Sometimes we try to get too scholarly with this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's common sense. The shit comes out of Western Asia. The basis of Christianity and Judaism, of Christianity and Islam is Judaism, and Judaism comes out of Western Asia from these goddamn nomadic Eurasians, mixed group. The Egyptian called them the Shasu, the Habaru, or whatever you call. They were nomadic desert dwellers, and they come out of Eurasia, bro. You know what I'm saying? So either way you hit it, the foundation of it is not African. Because in all indigenous religions, not just African religions, you're gonna find ancestral worship, animism. I haven't found an indigenous culture that would not animist. For those who don't know what animist is, it means that everything is looked at to have a soul or a spirit. Everything in nature, the trees, the rocks, the birds, the animals, whatever, it's all divine. See what I'm saying? So you're going to find that. Then you're going to find them forces of nature being deified, because that's what's sustained. You're going to find sun worship. You're going to find the rivers being, but it's not worship in a sense of like these dummies worshiping this alien in outer space. So when you look at Western or these Western Asiatic religions, because of their disconnection from nature, they made everything a fucking alien. Think about it. The sun's not worthy, but an alien in another planet is. Think about that. Everything is a way. The creation, even in the Bible, it says they took the creation for the creator and all this crazy shit, and they made images and idols and all this shit. That's what all indigenous people on the earth do. They make images of the things around them. In the Abrahamic faith, they worship a fucking alien, bro. People think I'm really trying to. It sounds funny.
But no, elaborate though, because I understand what you're saying, but for the person who don't, just elaborate a little bit on what you mean.
If you look at the sci-fi stuff, let's just take what was that joint with Will Smith?
Men in Black?
No, not that one. The one when the goddamn aliens invaded Judgment Day or so.
Independence Day.
Independence Day. When you look at the ancient stories of these gods coming from other places, the Anunnaki, the Elohim, and I'll even go in to say, listen, I did a whole series before called Rebellion Against All Gods, because these are all alien spirits. All right. If you go to, when you look at the Abrahamic religions and their claims, it's an alien invasion, literally. It's no different from Independence Day. Think about it. Angels come down from heaven. They give man instructions on how to live and tell them, we're your creators. We're better than you. You got to listen to us. And man becomes subservient to them. Literally called himself, what a Muslim call himself? A slave of Allah, a servant of Yahweh. These beings, I'm just talking about in the story, but they're not even from Earth. They come from a place that we have no idea, and their king sits on a throne somewhere on this planet or dimension or whatever. They're not even connected. They're not even connected to the planet. And guess what? What are they going to do one day? What is Jesus going to do?
He's gonna rise the earth.
He's going to crack the sky and kill everybody on the earth and take the throne. And they say, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. That he's going to rule in heaven and also rule in earth. Bro, I truly, now, this is where I get spooky. I tell people when I read these ancient stories, these are foreign spirits masquerading as the creator. And the number one demon, the real Satan, is the God of the Bible. That's the devil.
Hey, my man Andre Boyce say the devil ain't nothing but God in a ski mask.
That's right. When you look at, and I always tell people, like, when we really look at the characteristic of what they call Satan, right? He's supposed to be this big deceiver. But how is the Bible deceiving anybody?
Are you a Marcion? You are a Marcion, right?
Yeah. So, I would consider myself somewhat Gnostic. You know what I'm saying? But you know what's interesting, right? About the Gnostics, which were the real early Christians, by the way, that come out of Egypt. The tradition comes out of Egypt. That's why they burnt them books, and the Catholic Church hunted down and killed all the Gnostics because they knew what it was. But a lot of people try to say, oh, the Gnostic stuff, that's Greek. No, because just like I played the sister the other day, the Dogon have the same story. Yorugu. Now, in the Gnostic tradition, it's the demiurge. It's this dude who was born prematurely and became egotistical, said, I'm the only God. They called him Yaldabaoth.
And he created us, and
he created the physical realm.
Jesus came to fix what he messed up.
That's why, see, the Bible's all mixed up. That's why I tell people I'm the Christian mystic, because if you look at what Jesus really represents from the Gnostic point of view, you'll see all the Gnostic views, and you'll see that he called the Jews and said, I know your father's of the devil. Who is their father? Yahweh.
But see, you getting into some stuff that, like, if even for people who know about it, they just dismiss it as nonsense. You know what I mean? But then for the people who, because obviously you can see I didn't got off into all of that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's kind of deep when you think about it, because it's like, wait a minute. So they saying that, because when you look at the things that this guy did, you like, damn.
And what he said,
yeah,
they literally call him Satan in one verse in the book.
I'm like, he says his name is jealous, but then when he says jealousy is crueler than the grave, but he says his name is jealous. Like what? Come on, man. Like it's So man. But I want to show your wisdom.
Yeah, no doubt. But I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you like these. I believe in spirits and all of that. So if you don't, well, that's your problem. But I want to show you something. What I mean, the games they play. So we got a bunch of false spirits that's behind these religions that's given to man. All religion is false. I'm gonna even say African religion. I believe it was usurped. Whenever you see a religion involving in blood, those are demonic spirits behind that. I don't believe the original. I believe voodoo was infiltrated. When you get into sacrificing to some god, what is that? It's a vampire. That's what it is.
A succubus or something to that effect.
What?
I feel
the creator of the heavens and the earth wants you to kill an innocent lamb and pour blood on his altar so he can consume it with fire. See, we're not even thinking, bro. But then we'll watch Dracula and be like, that's an evil motherfucker. Yahweh is Dracula, bro.
But then we'll drink the blood and eat the flesh.
Exactly.
But Dracula
drinking my blood. That's literally the Dracula story. How do you get eternal life? You drink Dracula's blood, become a vampire. Bro, I mean, I want to show y'all this, though. I'm going to show you the games they play. And I showed a million Bible believers this, and they not able to answer or handle it at all. So you remember the Garden of Eden, right?
Right.
When it said...
Are you sharing your screen right now?
I'm about to.
Okay.
So you remember the Garden of Eden when so-called Adam bit the... God lied, the devil told the truth. And he bit the apple and he didn't die. And then it said God drove the man out, right? So here's the Strong's Concordance, and you can see the translation here. So he drove out the man and placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword. Now this is very interesting, because they tell us to stay away from the darks, to stay away from the occult and all this shit, right? So that word for flaming, right? Let's see what it is. Because they hide the shit right in your face. Now listen to what this says. Flaming, right? It says enchantment. If we go down here to the Strong's definition, look what it says. The idea of enwrapping magic as covert, flaming, enchantment. Watch this. This is the Hebrew Chaldean lexicon. Look what it says. To hide, hence to use occult and magical arts.
Wow.
So when you read in the Bible, when it says keep Adam out from the garden and he put a flaming sword around it, we can literally see they're talking about using the occult and matter. And you know how we know that? Because it's the same word that's used when they said in Exodus 7:11, when he had the battle with the Pharaoh sorcerers. It says right here, then Pharaoh also called the wise men and sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. That's the same word. The occult, magical arts. So what the hell?
So why is it wrong in Africa and in India and South America? Why is it wrong everywhere else?
Well, the real question is not even why is it wrong. What the hell are you doing using the occult and magical arts to keep knowledge from someone?
Good point. Good point.
But they'll tell you that the occult is evil, and all the magic comes from demons, and the Egyptians had sorcerers and God. You see what I'm saying? So I say that to say that it's really, if you read really within the lines. Remember I talked about how the priesthood wrote. They had a priesthood that they called the Levites. If you really read in between the lines of understanding the way priesthoods wrote and how initiates wrote, you will see the story that they're telling in the Bible. It's about slavery, trickery of indigenous people. Period. It's about taking our knowledge and hiding it and never letting us get access to it in order to rule over you. And it's headed by a demonic god named YHWH. There's no way to get around it. And Allah is the same God. You see what I'm saying? So, but like I said, then people come and you know, because I talk about voodoo, the voodoo tradition a lot. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that we need to get back to traditional religion, I'm not even talking about everything that they do, because some of the stuff they do is being corrupted. Soon as I see blood, I know you're demonic. So all them voodoo priests over there, with all due respect, if you sacrificing goats to any deity, you corrupt. And think about, and this is how you know it's an alien force, bro. It's a disconnection. Why does God have no mercy for the animals? Bro, I don't even like to see animals get hurt. Why is it so easy for God to say, oh, a sheep, a goat? Man, okay, you messed up. Put the sheet on the altar.
Didn't he put them here for us to have dominion over them?
All right, and you know what's funny is they use that. I used to say that to one of my cousins who was a goddamn slave Christian, and he used to be like, yeah, you see, he gave us dominion over them. That's why we can eat them. You see what I'm saying? But it's an alien force. There's a disconnection. There's no love for the animals, bro. Like, and this is when I remember I talked about animism, because in the Western mindset, in this caveman mountain demonic mindset, nature is not divine.
It's the enemy.
Literally. So animals, you know, you mess up, hey, sacrifice a sheep. It's just a sheep. It's a lie. It's a creature.
A baby
Yeah.
Nature is the end, because they had to fight against nature to survive. We thrived in nature. It was like Tony Bowder always say, we sat up under mango trees in the sun, and they was in the ice fighting to survive. It's a different mentality. And when you come against that mentality, it's like you said, and we was talking, I brought up Rambo. If I come up against Rambo, I didn't fought in the neighborhood and then had little fights in high school. But if I come up against somebody who can eat things that'll make a Billy go puke, I'm going to get my throat ripped out. Period. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. And so when it's a different mentality. So
yeah. When you look at part of the reason we're struggling is because we still don't understand the enemy. And I'm not even saying that the enemy can't be reformed. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we still lacking an understanding, because if we had an understanding of what we was dealing with, we wouldn't want to touch. Now I know we can be extreme, but because I've heard people give me this analogy. Well, if somebody uses a car to go rob a bank, that don't mean the car is evil. That don't mean you can't. Listen, dude. Listen here, bro. Listen. I told him this: if a person uses a car to rob a bank, rape 20 women in it, shot 20 people in it, killed their grandmother in it, pissed in it, shit in it, I'm not gonna clean it up.
I'm not getting in that car. I ain't getting in that car.
It's too many demons on that car, bro.
Like it's a such thing as a spirit and a vibe to any area, car, house, whatever. And I don't want to be in that car. Like if you get ready to sell me that car and you say, yeah, this that car homeboy raped 20 women in, killed 5 of them, blah, blah, blah. I'm good on that car because I don't want that energy on me, period. Mm-hmm. But then people act like that don't mean nothing. I love how Christians and Muslims and people who believe in the Abrahamic faith get real philosophical when it comes to trying to make you believe what they believe. But then when any other time philosophy is useless, except for when it's functional for you to try to explain why what you believe is the only thing anybody should believe.
Yeah.
Can you see the statement on the screen, bro?
In the Christian view, God created everything so he can do whatever he wants to everything because he's God. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to my little big bro, my first cousin who more like a brother for that statement. But yeah, it's no, and I get a little frustrated sometimes because you telling me that like I ain't got to question whether Christ existed. Forget that argument. So can you prove to me that he resurrected and that he alive today? And they say, yeah, I can. Okay, go ahead. What's the standard for proof? No, go ahead and prove it. You said you can prove it. Why you ask? Why now you got to ask me a question on what my standard of proof is? If you can prove it, prove it. Because like when I say I'm 6'2", 280, I measure my height and I get on a scale. Period. If I go out there and I say my Lexus is silver, I go take a picture of it. I can bring you my title and say my Lexus is silver. But for some reason, with the truest thing ever, this is the truest thing ever, you got to take me through circles and walk me down this path and this path and that path to get to the root of what it is. If it's true, it's true. Is he alive right now? And was he resurrected 2,000 years ago? Prove it.
Yo, that's absolutely right. But I think the bigger question is let's say it was true. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole story of Jesus dying and resurrecting. If it is true, what the hell has it got to do with you? It's not your culture, bro. He's not your God.
Listen. Now you're going in a go ahead.
The book tells you that God's chosen that will be saved were chosen before the foundation of the world. In the beginning of the book, it tells you that the so-called people, the Africans, were cursed right from the beginning, and they were being murdered throughout all the book. They were called heathens. It said a Canaanite shall never enter the congregation of the Lord and all this. When they came and enslaved us, they told us that you was the Canaanites. And then, look how crazy this is. God is in control. Jesus is in control. When Jesus died and resurrected, then he empowered Europeans to go out and conquer the world. If Jesus is real, I'm saying the way they view it, nigga, that God is your enemy. I don't give a fuck if he is real. I don't even care if he is the true God of the universe. We the damn people who need to fight against his ass.
But no, we grow up every Sunday hearing about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Adam, David, Samson. We don't hear about African figures. We don't hear about these people in Africa that actually fought for our freedom and that actually did things that we can aspire to. We don't hear about them, but we hear about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Joseph, Samson, David, Jesus, except Paul.
Not one nigga named Kofi Ubuntu.
Yeah, not one. And so those are our inspiration. That's why our Hebrew Israelite brothers are like when a hustler get them on the corner, like, yeah, that's not some other people, that's you. Oh, cool, because they've been hearing it all. They whole
right.
Man, our queen's pregnant, and people singing to them church songs.
Right.
The baby come out talking about hallelujah before they can even say mama or daddy.
Mm-hmm.
The indoctrination is heavy.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's epigenetic, bro.
My cousin, the one I put on the screen, he got a quote. He says, religion would crumble under the weight of its own absurdity if it wasn't for child indoctrination. Because from the time before you can even think for yourself, it's one thing that's been hammered into you before you can count, before you can read, before you can talk. And that's whatever God your parents believe in.
Right. Not only just that, but, and this is what I talk about all the time. We talk about what a true seeker or mystic is. It's understanding that dynamic you said on the path to freedom and enlightenment. When you are born into this matrix construct world, in this social construct, we have not been able to ever look at things unmolested. So not only was you given religion, you was given a perspective on life. You was told how to view the world. We was told what a girl was and how she's supposed to be, what a man is supposed to be, what you're supposed to do in society. So as you grow up, you know what I'm saying? They say from like 1 to 7, you're just like a sponge. By the time you're 14, who you gonna be psychologically, whatever you are, by the time you're 14, you're gonna be that for the rest of your life. So now to relate that to our people, imagine that's just for an individual. Imagine a whole group of people who've been going through that for 500 years. You see what I'm saying? So what is it going to take for us to get back to our divinity? We have to understand these things with a serious intricacy. So and this is what I tell people to do, everyone should do, I think, at one point in time, as a man, as a woman, at one point in your life, you should say, you know what, today I'm dropping everything I've ever learned. I'm not believing nothing, everything I was told, and I'm starting over. That's what part of that. I say I'm the Christian mystic because those concepts are in the Bible. What are thinking people to be born again? What is the characteristic of being born again? When you're born, ain't nothing in your head.
Yeah, because what my man say, am I supposed to go back into my mother's womb?
Exactly.
You hear me? So yeah.
So being born again is a mental process where what he's telling you is you got so much junk in your head that you are unable to see through the veil, to really see what things are. I always tell people, I was heavy into psychology. Do you know that you can hypnotize someone? I can hypnotize someone and tell them, Gatorade bottles don't exist while they're hypnotized. And say, on the count of 3, when you wake up, Gatorade bottles don't exist in no form. When they wake up, I could be sitting here drinking Gatorade right in front of them. Their mind will blot out the bottle like it wasn't even there.
And they think you crazy because you're doing like this with nothing in your hand.
Exactly. This is how powerful the mind and the filters are. So when you talking to a person who's in religion, they sound crazy. You sound crazy to them. We sound crazy to each other.
I was just about to ask you about something, bro. But go ahead, and then I'm gonna go ahead and ask my question.
So they're seeing, they're hypnotized. Hypnotism happens from we're a child. So yeah, they can imagine a man being swallowed by a fish and the shit that don't make sense to us. We be like, bro, how do you think that it makes perfect sense? That's the program running. That's what they can see. That's the brain is filtering. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with our brothers and sisters caught up in the Abrahamic religions. They are totally under hypnotism. And so what they see, they think they're seeing it. So the only way, and some of us were fortunate enough through study and good luck, I don't know, to understand how the program works, to be able to say, maybe there is a Gatorade bottle in his hand. You see what I'm saying? And then that's when the mind starts to change. So I keep telling people all the time, they keep talking about the conscious community. I told people years ago, we don't need a conscious community. We need a subconscious community, because we got to go deep into the subconscious to fix this. And that's why we say dark side, because we know we're digging into your self-hate when we say power to the dark side. I know it does something to you. It does something to you when you look in the mirror. I know it does something to you when I say I'm a proud Canaanite, because that is everything that you are but don't want to be. If we're anybody in the Bible, it's the goddamn Canaanites. But see, I'm proud of that because I'm not accepting the story that they gave me about the Canaanites. That's what. But what was you gonna say, bro?
Yeah, no, this was my question, man, because I I put my bro up on the screen, and of course, I told you my wife was still a Christian, and here and I'm gonna tell you my position, because he and I are in a position where everybody in our family pretty much think we've lost our minds, and so my wife is literally afraid for me because
She's
she
praying for you in the
yeah,
spirit and everything, the blood of Jesus and everything. Yeah.
this is my heart. So I hate to see her going through that out of worry for me, because in my mind I'm all right. I'm better than I've ever been with regards to
You on,
responsibility, fatherhood, being faithful to her.
but you on your way to hell though.
But I'm going to hell, and that's the issue. And that's the issue with my aunt, who is my brother's mother. That's the issue with our aunts, my sister, my mother. Like, so are we hypnotized, bro? Or are they hypnotized? Which one
Man,
is it? Because are we in the matrix or are they in the matrix? You follow me?
there's a way to tell. The way you can tell is when you reach a point of logic and who veers off. You notice, like, because people are trying to say, well, even though I believe in Jesus or Allah, whatever, I'm not, you can still talk to me. I'm able to reason. No, you can't. Because we'll start the reasoning path and then you're going to hit the wall and you're going to lie. That's how we know who's hypnotized. You see what I'm saying? It's just like like if you start talking about Christianity and we start talking about, well, the fruits of it and what happened. See, their rationalization about it's going to tell you whether they're hypnotized or not. Like when I talk to Christians about, when I say things like, well, why would an African be a Christian when Christians came in the name of Jesus and destroyed our people? Well, they'll say, well, those are not real Christians.
Yeah, they weren't Christians at all.
They
That's
wasn't even, you a
yeah.
goddamn lie. They were Christians. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for these Christians, the gospel of Christ would not have been spread. They're not only the Christians, they're the one who spread the gospel. So you can't get around that. Okay, if you're the real Christians, if they wasn't the real Christians, who did God use to spread the gospel throughout the earth?
So when we talk about the quote from Frederick Douglass, and he talks about the Christianity that he's seen in the antebellum South of the United States, in contrast to the ideals of Christianity that he believes represent the belief. Do you not see a line of demarcation between the two?
No. Frederick Douglass was a slave Negro like everybody else. Listen, the slaves, matter of fact, let me show you. Now that we getting into it, I'm gonna show you how crazy Christians are.
And somebody got a question for you after you do this.
Okay. The slave master did exactly what God told him to do. That's easily proven. Watch this. And we always bring this up. He did exactly what God told him to do. In the Bible. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. See, this is what I'm saying when the rationalization comes about.
Yeah, and see this is where my conflict comes in, because even though like I've made my stance clear, but I still have a huge appreciation for the black church. Now I said the black church. I didn't say Christianity overall or in general. I'm strictly talking about the black church, because see, at 44 years old, I recognize I probably wouldn't be 44 years old right now had I not walked into a black church at age 17. It's a good chance. So I respect that, and I still respect what it represents in our community. So once you read this, and I'm gonna bring up the question from the person in the chat. I want to talk to you about what the black church meant to our people coming out of slavery, and get your opinion on that.
Definitely. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee, this is the Bible. See, Christians, they like to, that's why you got this whole thing with Old Testament and New Testament. They try to say, oh, that was the Old Testament. Like, but then they say, well, God never changes. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou should not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as a hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee into the year of Jubilee. The same way the white folks, white Christians treated each other. They didn't enslave each other. They might have said, oh, you owe a debt. They called themselves indentured servants, just like the Irish came over here as indentured servants, but the heathens are different. So look, but as a hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his father shall return. All right, someone has a debt, you know what I mean? Let them work it off, for they are my servants. See? Now God is being specific here. They belong to me, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. So this is God making a clear distinction. These people, oh, these are mine. Like that's like just like this is racism. Period. Then it says that thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, thy slaves, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall they buy bondmen and bondmaids. All right. Who are the heathens? Those that don't believe in Jesus, right? Moreover, of the children of the strangers that sojourn among you, of them shall they buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begot in your land, they shall be your possession. That's called chattel, fellas. God told these people it was okay to have chattel slavery from the heathens. How is that? I'm not saying this is exactly the same thing that white people did in antebellum slavery with Africans, but it's pretty damn close, because right here it tells you, and ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. You not only shall buy these slaves, but you, their children, shall belong to you. This is God. This is Jesus. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye should not rule one over another with rigor. Man, stop playing. We done went over that 1,000 times. What kind of low down, dirty God is a racist? I be telling people these people don't understand the human politics in his book. Now, I will say this, and let me protect the true source, the creator. He had nothing to do with that shit written in that book right there. That's some goddamn Jews justifying what the fuck they want to do to the rest of the earth, putting the creator's name on it. So don't blame the creator, the true source, Ola Dumare, for what the hell these motherfuckers put on God. That's not God. That's the goddamn demiurge. That's Satan. That's a deception. Why is God? I always ask people, does the God have a favorite ice cream? If he got a favorite people, he must have a favorite ice. He must have a favorite football team.
That always bugged me too, though. I'm not gonna front. Like
Crazy.
That's like me saying I got 5 kids, and hey, you my favorite.
And
Like
the rest of them don't mean nothing.
The rest of y'all, y'all, whatever. I made y'all. Me and mommy made y'all, but you my favorite. You I love, and you I hate. Like that's
Jacob, I love. Esau, I hate it. Right?
That's come on, man. Like that's heavy to me. Like,
but I'll give you the rationalization because I told you I know their doctrines well. See, brother, what's going on? No, God is not racist. It's just that because he also punished the Israelites too. But see, he's just using them to bring forth his revelation to the rest of mankind. It was that nigga, shut up. That's silly. See what the wrestler. He can't talk to the rest of mankind. Why he gotta choose one people? If he can send a prophet to Israel, he can't send a. That's stupid. You see what I'm saying? Like they think they really be saying something like to me, bro. I'm like well,
to me, that's like the biggest hustle, the greatest hustle anybody ever perpetrated. Because if I can get the rest of the world to believe my people or God's chosen people, look at all the benefits that I get thereafter.
Thank you.
That is like the greatest hustle you could ever perpetrate.
It's more than that. It's a spell. It's a literal spell.
Can you see the screen?
All right, hey guys, just watch it. Any brief as to what Nimrod subscribes to? Just want to know. I feel so lost. Kindly asking. That sounds like some funny Christian trick question. What do you mean? Like we've been talking all night. You ain't. I don't understand what you don't get. Well,
he might have just jumped on. We never know. Hold on, just.
No, I'm not trying to attack him.
Right. He said, just supporting your channel. I enjoy watching live streams. I have no idea what this channel believes, but oh well, always good to hear and learn other perspectives.
Okay. Yeah, what we talking about is me, my what, this ain't necessarily a channel thing. He's interviewing me, and I'm talking about the detriment of the Abrahamic faiths on not only the black community, but the entire planet. And, we talked about a lot of other things. So, Jose, you might have to tune in and catch on. But what I subscribe to is science, technology, engineering, and math, what is substantial, what I can experience, and, a lot of things. So that's a very broad question in this type of conversation. I subscribe to a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? It's not just one thing. See, that's what we talked about earlier, Pianki. What are you?
That defining.
Define, and that's why a lot of these people have a problem with me. And they say, "Oh, you're unstable." It's only because they need, in order to deal with you, what JJ 7000 does this all the time. You keep talking about the Bible. I need to know what you believe in so I can put you on. Bro, you can't see. That's your problem.
You gotta be in a box. You
gotta be in a box to deal with me. Yeah. So no, bro, I don't subscribe to no. I'm like water, my friend, like Bruce Lee said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can take you anywhere, which way you want to go with it. You want to talk Bible, I can talk it with you. You want to talk Quran, I can talk it with you. But I guarantee you that your static, indoctrinated perspective is gonna go off and make you crazy at some point. You see what I'm saying? So we see a trend. Now, I always tell people, if you ever take an IQ test, right? A big part of the IQ test is they show you patterns. Like you take an IQ test, they'll show you this one pattern, another pattern, and they're gonna see if you can recognize the pattern. Because a big part of intelligence is pattern, what they call pattern recognition. And so when we look at history, that's all we got to do, pattern recognition. Well, what did these in the Bible? It says the Israelites, they came out of somewhere and conquered another people. All through the goddamn book is one bloody war in the name of God, and the people they conquer they were indigenous to the land before they came, but their God told them it was their land or to go conquer these people. And then, so we got 2,000 years of so-called Israelites. Then the Christians come along. What did they do? Did they bring heaven on earth? So, and then the book tells you itself, you shall know them by their fruits. So then they come along. What do? They go around. Romans adopted Christianity. The Catholic Church, they go around conquering other people in the world. All right, then we got another splinter group comes up to say they got this argument between whether Jesus is the savior or Jesus the prophet. Who's the last prophet? They call themselves Muslims, call God Allah. They got the same story. What they do? Go around conquering other people. God told them to do it.
And what continent did all these campaigns start on?
Man,
just
come in Africa, bro.
That's all I'm. It's kind of. I don't find it to be a coincidence.
Well, to be fair, the Muslims went all over the place.
True.
You know what I'm saying? But they still in Africa. They still got a strong foot in Africa. And when they come into Africa, they never have no respect for what we're doing. And this is why we got this self-hate today, because we've learned. I mean, not only do we got white genes in us, so we got a genetic fight going on in this. Because think about it, some of the slave masters' memories is in us. That's how deep this shit is. We literally got self-hatred in our genes. If epigenetics is real, we got cells that don't even like us inside of us. Damn. And then on top of that, the long history of the view of Africa, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the Black Hebrew Israelites, these dudes are the most, I don't care what you say.
I was just about to ask you about something, but go ahead.
You know, they're traitors, bro. They don't know we love them. We know they're lost. They actually have adopted. This is what's so crazy about how crazy their mind is. They gave up completely. They got to the point where they said, we're not only going to accept the slave master shit, we're going to replace them. They come from Western Asia. They skip over America, Australia, this big ass country of Africa, and land in Israel as their origin, bro. Yo, and the crazy shit about it, when you look at, this is how crazy we've become, bro. That piece of land, first of all, God's petty as hell, because the most prized land on the earth he created is a goddamn desert strip that he's so concerned with. And I tell you, like Henry Clark said, when did God get into the real estate business?
Man. I look at it like this, man. So Africa is the only continent on this planet that can close its doors in perpetuity. They ain't got to trade with nobody, and they'll be fine. But Israel, if Israel stopped trading with other countries, man, they dead. Period. Right. Like they are done. So, and the other part of it is, you just talked about how we have mixed genes in us. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't share the same ideology you do with regards to what that means on a cellular level with regards to self-hate. But I will say this, when it comes to our Hebrew Israelite brothers, right? You are what your father is. And I don't know if you've seen Captain 10K, Captain DeGaulle Gabor. That's my man. But ISUPK says you are what your father is. How far do you go back though? Because we know the slave master had his way with a wide variety of our female ancestors. So unless they deny that, okay, you are what your father is, but who was your father's 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 father? Right? How far do you go back to determine whether or not somebody is an Israelite? Because you can't deny that rape took place. Now, I heard Captain Tazoriak say, well, not every female was raped. That's true. But we know a lot was.
A lot was, and a lot of them was getting it on by choice too.
Yeah,
but
they married. Some of them married the slave master, but we know like the sickness of the racist mind, these aren't even whole humans, but I can't keep my hands off they women and I can't keep my hands off they men. But they ain't even all the way human. So either they was just saying that to be saying it, or they meant it and they still was so depraved that they couldn't keep their hands off of us.
Yo, I don't know. I don't know if we ever be able to figure out minds and how sick they were or whatever. But you're right about that, brother. I mean, now you say you disagree of what it means on a cellular level, but I don't know. Epigenetics says something different. Like some of these dudes running around are literally, they I had a crazy theory. Now this is just me. I'm gonna tell you how I think. Because this is why what I'm gonna say is totally preposterous, right? But this is how far I think when I say I'm trying to discover truth. I look at all possibilities. And you know what I said? I'm looking at the way black people hate each other, right? Is it possible, you know how they talk about karma and reincarnation, that right now black people could be the white slave masters and the white people were the slaves? And we're the white people paying a price for what we did to the slaves. And that's why because I used to say, how do we have so much hate for each other? Like we hate each other just like white people. So like it could be a tricky punishment where black people are actually white people paying for what they did. The souls will revert. But that was just a crazy thought. But
yeah, that's bro. Yeah, we gonna have to have. I'm gonna have to have you and get into that a lot deeper. That's
if you think about it, right? If that was the case, would not we feel the way toward each other just the way we do today? We would have that same. But the punishment is we're perpetuating that hate on ourselves. But that's really the hate that white people have for black people. So they come back black with that same hate for themselves. And then the black people are the white people that's balling right now. And we complaining and crying, but we could be paying for what we did. You know what I'm saying? But that's just a crazy thought.
I'm gonna have to have you come back on and break that down some more, man.
Yeah, because I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that our ancestors had that understanding that the reason why, but no, through your bloodline, you know what I'm saying? You know how even back in the day, we still had those African concepts. That's how you know. You know how, because even people used to say, black people say, he act just like grandpa. They used to think that was grandpa or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had that ancestral understanding that the reason that you make life better, it's really a selfish reason. In a sense, because you're going to come back through your grandkid. So you don't want to come back. When you look at the sacrifices people make, like during the civil rights, a lot of them are back. They made life better for themselves when they came back through their bloodline. You see what I'm saying? So we believed, you know what I'm saying? Indigenous people believed that I'm going to come back one day and I'm going to come back through my children. So if I leave this condition, shit, when I come back, it's going to be just as fucked up or worse. So we got to do something now. So when I come back, I have a better life. So, that's the importance of ancestral worship, bro.
And see, I believe in venerating your ancestors to the level of I honor my ancestors to the utmost because because they were, period. And so, but I see reincarnation another way. Like my son is literally the new improved version of me. Like
Facts.
the things that my father handed me that he thought were good things or things that I should latch on to that ended up not being so good. Like, you know, you can have as many women as you want to. Yeah, you married to my daughter-in-law and I love her like a daughter, but you keep her over here, but you keep you 5 or 6 over here. And I thought that was how you conducted yourself. Yeah, that's my wife, but I got to keep me a little stable over here. I don't teach my son that. You see what I mean? And so,
Right.
whereas nobody ever taught me the value of working hard, and that was something that I had to learn for myself and establish within myself and get that drive within myself. I teach my son that out the gate. So so in my mind, he's the new improved version of me, and his son will be a better version of him if he sticks to those things that I taught him. I'm his master teacher. And so I feel like for me, that's what reincarnation is about.
You know what's deep about that is, you know, they say we get 23 chromosomes from the mother, 23 from the father. But what makes us unique, right, is the way the genes come together and then they do what's called recombination. So that's what kind of makes us, they recombine in a unique configuration that makes us unique. But I think overall is you know, with that ancestral understanding and understanding genes, that's what our enemies, I think they know, you know what I'm saying? And they use these things. We talk about religion and God and all this, but the most important thing we need to understand is the science of mating and genes and epigenetics is what's going on, because the problems we're dealing with, we inherited. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're think about how long our ancestors lived in fear. Now, whether we want to admit it or not, we're still scared of white people.
Yeah, we get them so much power, man.
We're scared. Like, and I'm talking about literally, because you know, brothers will talk bigger, nigga. I ain't scared. Nigga, there's something deep inside of you. Now, I'm not gonna say all of us, some of us may have shook it, but there's still a fear in it. I mean, these people were, can you imagine? Like, we can't relive it in a sense where we see the movies and we talk about it, but we can't really imagine being there. Imagine you know, watching a man just get whipped to death or get his foot cut off, his dick cut off. Yeah. Imagine sitting there and really having to watch a wife get raped. And these people have no mercy, bro. They like, you know what I'm saying? So, and that went on. And then I don't think people understand the time. Can you imagine 100 years, 200 years, 300 years? This was regular life that was accepted. So, considering all things, I must say that we still came out and did some great things. And I think that we probably don't give ourselves enough credit because a lot of people didn't make it. The Native Americans didn't make it. I see one of them every 2 years. I'll be like, what the hell is that? Like, nigga, you belong in a museum somewhere. Like, they didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't make it, bro. You know what I'm saying? They didn't make it through the disease. We made it through the disease. They gave us diseases. They gave us AIDS. They gave us cancers. They eugenics, abortions. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfathomable.
We on multi levels, man. Like it's proven that the government targeted our community to put drugs in. We got liquor stores on every corner, and it's a church on every corner. Everybody done seen The Godfather. So the 5 families meeting, and the man says, was it Barzini? In my neighborhood, we'll put it with the coloreds. They animals anyway, let them lose their soul. And we know that's exactly how things played out in reality. Even though it was a movie, that's how things played out in reality. So you get a people who already in poverty, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, they already desperate, right? They already scratching and clawing to survive. Everybody literally living out the Good Times theme song. And then you into drugs into the equation. So now you have individuals who decide they're going to sell drugs to get another level of economics, if you want to say that. Then you get another set of people who decide they're going to use the drugs to cope. All of them already been drinking. So you drunk, high, and all of these things. And then the other people who could actually do something about it, who may be able to penetrate their minds, they in church and they saying, I know they out there killing each other, poisoning each other, and doing all kinds of damnable things, creating a drug and gang culture right under our noses. But we so goddamn docile, and we've let these kids, these children, and these young folks run amok for so long that now we don't even want to do nothing. So we just gonna sit in this church and we gonna pray. And the next thing you know, our neighborhoods all across this country is fucked up. And it's a church on every corner. And ain't nothing changed. You walk outside the church and the neighborhood fucked up. But if the church is supposed to be what it's supposed to be, why is the area surrounding the church not what it's supposed to be or what it can be?
Because they're not because they're not black. They belong to Jesus. They're new creatures in Christ. See, that's what I mean by the how religion takes you away from like Ubuntu. I am because we are. Like the village is everything in indigenous. Like God is prayed. Listen, God, the concept of God, and this is even in their Bible, which is so crazy too. Like I said, they mix a lot of shit in the Bible. Even the Bible says, how can you say you love God whom you haven't seen and hate your brother whom you've seen every day? In other words, when you see your brother, you should see God in him. The concept of praising God is through people. That's what Jesus even said. When you fed one of them, you fed me. When you clothe one of them, you clothe me. When you heal one of them, you clothe me. This is a metaphysical concept saying there's no separation between me and you. I am you. If you don't have that divinity mind state of when you see your brother and sister, if you don't see God, if you don't see divinity, then you are off balance and off kilter. Church people, they take God and put him somewhere else instead of putting them on you. If you want to impress Jesus, do something for the neighborhood. Heal the neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? So they put the kingdom of God coming. Hold on, let me back up too. Now, these alien spirits, right? If you read these religions, all they do is tell you how fucked up mankind is. Remember, it says the man who trusts in another man is cursed. That's in your Bible.
If you trust in yourself, lean not to your own
lean not on your own understanding. What else is it? My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Yeah. So whenever some shit happens that
if we don't know, make sense, don't worry about it because you will never understand because my thoughts aren't your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. My thoughts ain't your thoughts. So it's not up to us. It's not up to the church to bring forth anything for their people. See, that's God's work. See what I'm saying? That's not our work. I'm just here. I'm just a willing servant of God. God didn't tell me to do this. So that concept of God being separate from people, separate from nature, and he's the one that has this ultimate plan, and we have no choice in it, really, is what takes us from taking care of our people. That's why what's going on in Africa. I tell people Africa's the richest nation. They're not poor, but why are their leaders selling out? Their leaders are Muslims and Christians. That's why. Their leaders are Muslim and Christians. So the people is not what it's about. It's about spreading the gospel. You know what I'm saying? And it's really a psychosis. That's why I say, man, until Africa burns those books and those religions, man, they'll never be free. And unfortunately, 50% of Africa is Muslim. 50%, most of the Muslims on the world live in Africa. They're not even in the Middle East. The other damn near 40 is Christian. Only about 8 to 10% practicing their indigenous religions. They're African. Right. Africans hate themselves more than African Americans.
Yeah. I had an uncle on, and I went into the gas station. I was telling the sister this last night, and a brother from Ghana told me that the uncle was pagan.
Oh my God!
I was like, what? Why you say that? He was like, it's pagan. Do you know what that means? I say it means life. No. It's an inversion of the cross. And I was like, no, this pre-exists the cross this ain't got nothing to do with the cross. I said the cross is an instrument of death. And he it was, and we would build from time to time when I would go in there. And he ended up, this divide and conquer between us and Africa is legit, because he told me, so I grew up in a section of St. Louis that's considered, quote unquote, the hood, right? And now in my adulthood, my wife,
y'all weird and different down there in St.
Louis. It's different. So it ain't like you come down. Like I had a friend from New York, and he was like, "This your hood?" You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting offended. Like, man, but I gotta understand it's different areas, and they look at things differently. Because I'm looking at him like, what you mean? This our hood. Like, but it was a different vibe. So I'm sitting here and I'm tripping off of it, because now where me and my wife live is supposed to be in a fluid area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he told me he was advised to come here first and to not even socialize with Black people if he could help it. Now, this is an African man being told not to associate with African Americans.
Right. Exactly.
Not from other African people, but from the very people who are assisting him in getting his citizenship.
Right. And that's, what's deep about that is I've come to the conclusion that the Israelite Moorish Aboriginal movement is a government sponsored. These are all government sponsored movements, bro. I've really come to that conclusion. When you hear, and they've really fell for the game. These people are good, bro. You know what I'm saying? You'll hear an Israelite say some shit like, "Those Africans don't fuck with you. They call you a Carter." You know what I'm saying? And then on the side of the Africans, they make us look crazy. They say stay away from them, crazy American lazy Negroes and all that. Then they run they run the media campaign and all that. So it's like, this is clearly ops, because they know if we unite with our brothers and sisters over there, it's over.
It's over.
That's how I know the Moorish movement, the Aboriginal movement, and the Israelite movement is government ops, bro. They promote that shit. We was having a conversation earlier today with some brothers that claim that they the Indians and no Africans came over here. We got that whole thing going on now. And a brother brought up something very I was an Abo before too, so yeah. So a brother said to them, and it was very deep. When you look at all the political prisoners, the assassinations, the people who the American government have targeted, it hasn't been no Israelites. Why has it always been Pan-Africans? I don't know one Israelite wanted by the government. One more wanted by the government. It's all Pan-African people. Marcus Garvey, people they targeted. The Panthers. All of this Israelite abo, yo, them niggas are the enemies of our people, bro. I'm gonna create a disease to wipe out the black Hebrew Israelites, bro. I'm gonna hire me a biologist to create a disease that kills Bible believers.
Oh man, come on.
And yo, see, let me tell you something. I feel you, your spirit, I was there. Hey, if you're black, I don't care what you are, Christian, Muslim, or Jew, no. We cannot get around these Negroes, bro. They got to go. I'm sorry. Like, they are, it's like a zombie. Once they bite you, you know, I was watching a zombie movie. You ever see? I think it was a zombie movie, and the mother's little girl had got bitten or something, and she was turning, and she was like, "No!" And she ran up on the little girl. The little girl bit the hell out of her. Like,
I forget which one it was. Because the zombies was fast in that movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
That little girl bit the hell out of her. They was saying, "That ain't your daughter no more. These are not our people no more, yo. They're possessed by the spirit of Yahweh. They're possessed by the angels and Jesus, and they will kill us in the name of their God, bro."
Oh man!
What
did I say at the beginning? We can disagree without being disrespectful.
No, you know it's real. You want to be nice.
On that one, man.
You want to be nice. Listen, the Israelites one day say that they're gonna get the power of God and destroy black, white, and everybody else, and all non-believers, right? When Christ comes, the Christians are going to meet God in the air and they're going to come back down and kill us all. See, that's the mentality. You got to understand. See, they playing this role like, oh, we love you. No, they don't. You do not believe in their God. You are an enemy. That's why you got black Muslims and Christians that kill their own people all across the world.
And you know what? Speaking of, because we coming up on almost 2 hours. So let me get to this question because I don't think I got to it earlier. So I was talking about Frederick Douglass and how he drew this line of demarcation between what he saw as true Christianity and the Christianity that the slave masters and the antebellum, or enslavers, because I don't even like calling them masters, but the enslavers in the antebellum South practice. So speak on that line he drew, and then the impact that the black church had on our people and on our communities coming out of slavery. Because I would submit that we couldn't have got where we got to had it not been for the Absalom Jones and the Richard Allens of the world doing what they did during slavery and coming out of slavery. So that line that Frederick Douglass drew and the black church coming out of slavery and even during slavery. So what do you say about that specifically as it relates to our people?
We did what we had to do with what we had. I don't give a damn no more. It served its purpose at the time. But I'll even say this. They still, in a sense, were holding on to their culture. When you look at the way the black church is a goddamn voodoo ceremony. Let's just keep it real. That shit, nobody was doing church like that. When you look at them getting around, they'll look at a voodoo ceremony and be like, that's demonic. Nigga, you doing the same thing. You don't even know you African. When you look and you go in a black church and they get the Holy
Spirit. Call it the African Methodist Church, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But they was really doing African shit in other names. Catching the Holy Spirit, jumping around and shit with the music. That's African, yo. We brought that to the church. So, yeah, I think no one can deny that the black church was actually, we could argue more powerful than any other organization that black people had.
Yeah, I think more impactful. And I think the same thing can be said about the NOI. So this is my position, bro. I think that black people, African people as a whole, are the most spiritual people on the planet. I don't care what the system is. we can take that thing and make it work for us.
Yeah, we made it work. We made it work, but it's time to give it up, bro.
And so the thing that like my brother Captain 10K, the thing that get me is when we start saying that we are another people, or the Moors, and then what really get me with my captain is you include like Native Americans and Hispanics. What the hell they got to do with us? Like me and him, we haven't gotten in that conversation yet. We eventually will, but I don't understand that. But it's just like where they come from?
Man, there's 12 tribes.
I dare a black Hebrew Israelite that's of African descent to go to a reservation and I'm y'all people, let me in. But I bet you go over to a village in Africa, they gonna welcome your black ass.
Exactly. Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. You look at that 12 tribe, it shows you the reflection of self-hate. There's only 3 tribes that are black, even on the 12 tribes chart. That's so-called tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, where they say are the Negroes, the Haitians, and the people in the islands, Jamaicans, West Indians. The rest of them are Native Americans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Colombians, Guatemalans, from Panamanians, they got on there. It's man, these dudes is out of their mind, bro. And I'm gonna tell you, here's where a lot of things got muffled, and it's this color thing. That's the same thing I was talking about with Dr. Vince Bantu or whatever. These were people of color. And everybody besides white people are pretty much people of color. The East Indians are darker than Africans with straight hair, though. They're kind of a different people with a different culture, though. So the term black, we got so many issues, man. The term black is really supposed to be this experience of Negroes in America. But so many people can fit into it that we accepted everyone. Because I always thought, I'm gonna be honest, like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, I tell people I grew up, one of my 2 best friends, one was Puerto Rican, one was Dominican, and I always just considered them black. You know what I'm saying? But culturally, it's not like that, bro. They don't rock with us like that.
Depending on where you from, because like the dude I was telling you about from the East Coast, who like, y'all, this y'all hood, he was Puerto Rican, but he would say the N-word more, and I'd be like, bro, because he looked white, but he was Puerto Rican, and I'm like, man, you better ease up on that. And he'd be like, huh? But that's how they talk, and they don't. And I don't know if you're from the East, but
yeah,
for him, he would tell me like, I grew up around black people. Man, this is just how we talk, and we don't even trip off skin color,
they
race.
They consider
black. And I'm just like, it's a whole different vibe than the racial dividing lines that I experience
in the South. It's black, white, and Mexican. You know,
yeah,
like you know, it's so diverse in the city, but that's what we got deceived because all these other people, while we're so accepting, they've bought into white supremacy. The Hispanic people have stabbed us in the back the most because they play like they niggas as long as it's fun and dance and partying and weed, but politically they not niggas. They not niggas when they by themselves around their families. You see what I'm saying? There's a saying in Spanish, I forgot what it is, but it means further the race. And what that means is you have a baby with a person that's lighter than you or lighter than you. This is a common, people don't know about this, but a while ago I did a whole show on this. Hispanic people are racist as fuck. And I'm not to say all of them, but
now we don't speak in general terms, but you know, we know what we're saying.
So but black people have accepted everybody and they end up stabbing us in the back.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like Dr. John Henry Clark said it best, we ain't got no, we have no friends.
None.
And that's what's so hard for people to understand. That's why I took exception. I had Vocab Malone on the show. You jumped on.
Yeah.
And my thing was, why is it cool for him to critique what we do?
I love Vocab Malone.
I don't care. I like him a lot.
No, I love him.
Don't get me wrong. I like him, but that don't mean I feel like he should critique my people.
No, I know where you're coming from.
You know,
but this is where I disagree. I love when Vocab Malone beats up these black Hebrew Israelites, bro.
Nah, man.
I love it. I clap. I celebrate. I don't, you know why? Because they not your people, bro.
I can't do it, man.
They not your people. And they lying. And the truth is, Vocab Malone is telling the truth.
I can't do it.
Because they are Christians. They trying to twist what the shit says and turn it into some black made up shit and then say they not average. Why would you be mad at Vocab Malone for beating that shit up?
The same reason I'm mad at him if he attacked what you believe.
No, see, you too black right there. That's where you get too
black. Ain't no such thing as too
black. Yes, it is.
Ain't no such thing.
When keeping it black goes wrong.
Man. You know what? We finna close out. Now. This man just said I'm too black. When keeping it black goes wrong.
Yeah, did you see Bamboozle?
Yeah.
Nah, and when I'm just saying, like, because Vocab Malone really helps us, bro.
How? Explain, man.
Because we got brothers claiming they not hating Africans, using the Bible, lying, and then we got a person of white person telling them the truth, and they don't want to accept it. So they're following a false doctrine that goes against us. I'm not, like I'm saying, I wouldn't get with Vocab Malone and jump one of my brothers in real life or something like that. But philosophically, beat them niggas up.
See, I can't fix my mouth to. Now I will say this, like I said, I like dude. He's saying he a cool dude. He came on my channel when he could have went. I got a small YouTube channel. He could have went on any other channel and said, "Hey man, it's this dude named Pianki talking shit about me, and let me address him." But he came on and chopped it up with me, and got the biggest numbers I ever got. He did that out of the kindness of his heart because he didn't have to do it.
He's a cool dude, bro.
Then he came on again, had another conversation with my captain. So from that standpoint, I recognize that he doing something that he don't have to do. But I'm not siding with him, no, bro. Yeah, I'm saying I feel you. I put it like it's like this. If you keep telling your brother to stay out of the streets, and then he goes out in the street and he comes home and he's like, "Yeah, I got jumped." Of course you're gonna be like, "That's my brother," you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna co-sign nobody but at the same time, you like, I told you. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna use that. That's what I'm saying. So when they go out there, I tell them to stay out that Bible, and they get beat up by them white boys. I told you. Yeah, we gonna I feel you though. We're gonna disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable, bro. Yeah, it's all good. But I definitely gotta have you back on and build on some other elements that you talked about, man. Let's close out. Let the people know where they can find you, what you got going on, etc., man. Yeah, once again, y'all know who it is. The greatest black mind on the planet. Y'all better come to Nimrod or you're gonna lose, man. I'm the one that the universe and the ancestors have sent to rebuild the Tower of Babel and to destroy the Abrahamic faith. Backed by the ancestors. Here to remind you that you are none of the labels that have been put on you, but you are infinite awareness having this third dimensional human experience. We are the divine manifested here in this plane, playing this cosmic game. And know that it's a cosmic game. You are living in a third dimensional temporary illusion, and you're too caught up in the illusion. At the end of the day, when this is over, it's gonna be the snap of a dream. But while we're here, it seems very real. So we gotta play the game real. But we are way more than this third dimensional construct, than this illusion. And once we have that understanding, we'll be able to deal with
deal with things a lot better. But we gotta escape the archonic forces and their religions and the way they're controlling our consciousness, our collective consciousness, directing it to create what they want to create. And they do that through the Abrahamic religions. Y'all can check me out at the Darkside Network Reloaded. Power to the dark side, death to Abraham's children. You know what it is.
All right,
Peace.
all right. Y'all heard it. Power to the dark side. I want to thank the brother for coming on. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been another edition of Paradigm Shift TV 314. It's your brother, Pianki Patai, Moon 2 Nephra Moon Ra. And we'll be back at it, or black at it, with another episode, and we'll get back with you. That's peace. We out.